Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my friend Donovan Sadiq in the building. Professor Jeremiah Smith sitting in for the Queen Demetra K. And I got a NBA World Champion in the building tonight. And get where he wanted it? In the H-Town. My man Chucky Brown in the building. State Representative Ron Reynolds will be in at 7:30. We about to go in tonight. Say, man, I want to welcome y'all to another episode of the War Zone. And Demetra is off for a couple of days. I think we'll see her again Monday. And she got some personal business to take care of, and that's what it is. So, as I normally start off the show every night, I want to say happy Hanukkah. Whatever that means, I just want to tell it to you. Now, I've been watching the news for the last 3 days, and somebody need to give the weather forecasters a class in predicting the weather, especially in the city of Houston. You made these people buy up all the toilet paper in the HEB. Ain't no more baby wipes, and ain't no damn hurricane showed up. I don't know where y'all get y'all information from, but it didn't happen the way it happened. But you know what? We blessed that it didn't happen, and we got to pray for them people on the Gulf Coast. I checked on my folk in Lake Charles and Lafayette this morning, and they all right, but that city, Lake Charles, took a beating last night. So I'm gonna slide over to Donovan, and we're gonna get this thing crunk up. What's going on, Donovan?
Man, it's just another triple-digit day out here in the desert of Southern California. We're just, enjoying it the best we can. But in the news, once again, the great first woman to do it, Nancy Pelosi, has yet to make a statement in regards to the recent shootings of young Black folks. And James Clyburn and the CBC mysteriously put up a statement in regards to the shooting. But a couple of days ago on my page, I showed the timeline where they said nothing, absolutely nothing. Same thing with Jim Clyburn, absolutely nothing. And today, automatically, these things have shown up. So again, we have to question, I don't know if you guys go to my page. I have a clip of The Matrix. Would you believe if I give you these pills that there's something wrong with the Democratic Party? It's all up to you. So yeah, but locally, not much is saying there. But today we have one of my not worst enemies, but he wasn't a Laker, and I always, dropping my Lakers off. Chucky Brown is in the house, and I mean, man, you gave us a lot of headaches, man. We should have had some more championships than what we got.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, man.
Well, I tell you what, man, he gave y'all some headaches, man, but you one of them boys that brought that championship down here to Houston. So we ain't never forgot that. We sure appreciate it. We were talking yesterday, so this is going to be an extended conversation about the NBA players, deciding not to play. And yesterday, me and Donovan both called it BS, and looked like after a night of whatever, they decided they're going to take the flow tomorrow, which at the end of the day, I keep telling people, man, the boys is not finna do that, but they don't even understand the window of opportunity that they have open to affect change. And if you affect these people money, you're going to get the change that you want. So I reached out to Chuck. We've been going back and forth for a minute, but I guess it was perfect timing to bring him on the show. And it's a good thing that Jeremiah is on the show, because Jeremiah is one of those dudes that actually help these guys with their money. So, we're gonna talk about this. I just think, Chucky, what's your opinion of what you see going on with the National Basketball Association, with this racism, with this stance, with everything?
When I first heard about the boycott thing, I was impressed. I was happy to see it. Because it's in my personal opinion, if you're gonna play, you got the Black Lives Matter on the floor, you got all of the slogans on your back. Cop killings really. So how can you go out and play? How can you go out and play with this stuff going on? You know what I'm saying? So when they took the stance, I was cool with that. Now when they came back today and announced that they were going to play, like we talked a little bit before the show. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm hoping that they got something, out of it, to come back and play so fast. I'm hoping that, and I pretty much think that, there was some long meetings they met all through the night. It wasn't no sleep because there's a lot of money involved. So it wasn't no sleep going on. So I'm hoping that, they got something out of the deal in order to, come back and play. And I try to talk to a lot of people about how it was back when we played. We didn't have the social media aspect of it. So there were a lot of things that happened that we weren't aware of because we were always told not to read the papers. You know what I'm saying? So as a player, I didn't read the paper. Like if there was a good article about me, someone always sent it to me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going out to get the paper. You know what I mean? So it's always sent to me. But, nowadays, it's pretty hard for these guys not to know what's going on because everybody's got some type of social media. If you ain't got Twitter, you got Facebook. If you ain't got Facebook, you got Instagram. If you ain't got Instagram, you got Snapchat. If you ain't got Snapchat, you got WhatsApp. So they're all over social media. So it's kind of hard for them not to know what's going on. But, for them to come back and play so fast, I'm hoping that, they got something out of it because, they're, these owners are they go to luncheons and have lunches with the people that can make changes. You know what I'm saying? So, and the way, this is America. You want to affect some change, you hit somebody in the wallet. You know what I'm saying? So now this is an opportunity where, you have them on the hook. You have them on the hook, and are you gonna take them off the hook and throw them back in the water, or are you gonna keep them on the hook and go ahead and get what you demand? Because I'm pretty sure that nobody saw this coming. I didn't see it coming. I'm sure these owners didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. So I'm sure they're gonna. They didn't get to be owners, not staying a step ahead. So now that this has happened, I don't see you getting them on the hook again. So, hopefully you got something out of it, and this is why you're going back to play. You know what I'm saying? But, if you want real change and stuff like that, there has to be some sacrifice. So there has to be some people that's going, so some people got to, there's got to be some people out there that's going to take bigger hits than other people, but there's got to be some sort of sacrifice, and then it's got to be, it's got to be more than one day. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be more than one day. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I ain't playing now, but that's my opinion. And like I said, I didn't, I didn't, feel bad or upset or anything when they decided to boycott. I was like, oh, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Because you're showing a human side to you that you're not going about business as usual as some people are. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that they got something out of it. I'm not going to kill anybody yet, but I'm just hoping that they got something out of it.
Well, I tell you what, you got a real successful podcast of your own, and I'm going to teach you a song.
Okay.
And you can use this on your show because I know the Barclays and The LeBrons and them, they tune into your show. They see what you're talking about.
Right.
When they did it, I knew they wasn't gonna do a goddamn thing. They wasn't gonna do nothing but what they did. And at the end of the day, whether you are owned by Jerry Jones, whether you're owned by whoever, these people donate millions of dollars to the change agents.
Right.
And they could make phone calls
Right.
and get executive orders done. You see what I'm saying? They can make phone calls to politicians and get legislation changed.
Right.
But you do it for one day? What I said last night, Donovan, the Negro of today does not have the discipline of the Negro from the segregation era. They sat down for 381 days and they changed the world for black people. They put the basketball down for one day and think they're going to change the world. I think not.
Right.
Jeremiah, what you got to say?
Yeah, Jerry, I got to agree with you, man. You know, I had my boots on and I was ready to march, and they asked me to put my Nikes back on, and it just caught me off guard. I was finally so excited that, you know, a stand was taken against the system. You know, like you said, it was a punch they didn't see coming, and I think they kind of walked back and celebrated. And the round wasn't over yet.
Well, I tell you what, Chucky played in the era where two guys. I remember those two guys like yesterday. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and Craig Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
They stood up for something.
Right.
It cost them in the long run.
Yep.
But they stood up for something. If everybody would have stood up with my man formerly Chris Jackson, if you don't know Chris from Gulfport, Mississippi, you know, Louisiana State University, the Denver Nuggets, and changed his name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, then you don't understand that Chris wasn't rocking with that with the national anthem.
Way
And
back
because
then.
it wasn't, they blackballed him. So if they'd have stood up with him back then, we probably wouldn't be going through some of the stuff that they're going through now. But the back and forth, I'm going to take my Nikes off, I'm going to put my Nikes back on, it really makes us look weak. Especially if these are the guys that everybody's saying, okay, well, we waiting to see what LeBron's going to do. Oh, man,
Right.
I'd rather kick it with Cube then. I ain't got time to play with Bron. Love him to death, but I ain't got time to play with him, and I'd rather just kick it with Cube. What about you, Donovan?
Absolutely. I just have this question for Chuck.
What's up?
Kenny Smith's stand. Now, you know, what's your take on Kenny Smith walking off the stage? And I'm not sure if he's going to be on the play-by-play when the games resume. But you know, you played in that era with Kenny Smith and stuff like that. What was your take on his stand of walking off the set?
You know, I was a little surprised when Kenny walked off, but I mean, you know, Kenny's a good dude, and you know, I understand. You know, I think he said something to the effect. I have not watched the video. I think he said something to the effect of, you know, I'm with the players or something like that. He said, as he walked off the set. But you know, I ain't got no problem with Kenny walking off. Now, I do think that, you know, I think a lot of what happened. You know, I don't think, you know, nobody had a plan. You know what I'm saying? It was a knee-jerk reaction by everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the problem, because you didn't have a plan. You know, what are we gonna do next? And I think that, you know, the fact that the Bucks didn't tell Orlando, you know, what they were doing, you know, that may have hurt things a little bit, because if you're gonna do it, you know, you gotta, you know, there's no greater power than the power of unity. So if you got everybody united and you say, look, go over there before they go out on the court, be like, look, we ain't playing tonight. So y'all don't need to go out there either, because we're not going out there. You know what I'm saying? I think that looks a little better than, you know, Orlando going out there, the referees going out there, and, you know, not knowing what's going on. But, you know, it's all right that the referees didn't know what was going on. The players need to know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because the players have to provide, you know, that united front. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, like, you know, to answer your question, you know, I don't have a problem at all, you know, with Kenny walking off. You know, if Kenny is willing to to sacrifice, you know, if he's willing to make that sacrifice for social justice, you know, like we say, you know, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and Colin Kaepernick, they sacrificed. Craig Hodges, they sacrificed. You know what I'm saying? They lost it. You know, they lost something. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Colin Kaepernick is looking pretty good right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, with all the losses that he supposedly has had, you know, people are starting to respect his stance because he took his stance and he was like, "Yo, it is what it is." You know, and I think when you do that, you know, like the old saying says, you know, you stand for something or fall for anything. So now it's looking like, you know, you took a stance, but now it was so short. Like I said, I'm hoping that you got something out of it, you know, because the stance was so short. It's like, okay, if they do it again, you know, we just wait them out. You know, we'll wait them out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I tell you, man, that I wasn't impressed. And for those that want to know, you know, I feel they left Kenny pissing in the wind.
Right.
That's what I felt, because Kenny's not a ball player. He's a sportscaster now, and that puts him in a whole different situation.
Right.
You left him pissing in the wind, and that's not called for. But I mean, you should expect this from our people, because we don't know what we want and we don't know how to get it. I don't care how much money you got in the bank. We don't know what we want and we don't know how to get it. And as far as people questioning, well, Barkley and Shaq, they didn't come off the show, and they wasn't gonna come off. They Republicans.
No. Yeah.
They Republicans. They wasn't gonna come off. Barkley done told you straight up how he feel. You know, Shaq tried to hide it. He sneaked
Right.
this way across the board.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, they wasn't gonna come off. Donovan?
That was in the comments there, but you know, Chuck, let me ask you this, because you know you got the big contract, you know, and you're playing for big dollars, you know, something that we only dream about.
Right.
How strong is the owner? I know the owners are the owners, but how strong are those contracts in the league for, you know, the average person? We don't understand. All we see is the mansions, the cars, and you know, the luxury life. But because you know you guys are living in a different tax bracket, how strong is that contract to make you have to go do what you got to do to support yourself and honor that contract? I mean, is it that strong?
I mean, for some guys, you know, they can't afford to like sit out or whatever or what have you. Some guys, you know, they don't only have basketball. That's why it's good to have other things. You know what I'm saying? That if basketball don't go right, I got this right here in my back pocket. So, you know, that's why me myself, you know, I went back and got my college degree so that just in case I played just 3 years, you know what I'm saying? Because the average expectancy is like 3 or 4 years. So I'm like, all right, well, if I only get these 4 years, you know, I got my college degree, you know, I've made enough connections where I can move on to the next phase. You know what I mean? But, you know, the contract for some, you know, they mean a lot. So I think probably for most, and that's why, you know, they're probably coming back to play too, because the contract for most guys, basketball is all they got. But, you know, this should be a lesson for them to, you know, try to get something else going while you have the platform you have, because a lot of doors are open for you as a player. You know, where I was fortunate enough to, you know, never be in any trouble or not be considered a problem guy, where, you know, after I got done playing, I picked up the phone and made some calls, and people picked up my calls. But not everybody's that fortunate, because, you know, maybe as a player, they were doing things, they might be a little arrogant. It's easy to get a little arrogant. You know what I'm saying? When you got a little I'm not sure, you know, maybe have done that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and it's all about who you know. It's all about who you know, regardless of what people tell you. It's all about who you know.
Well, my thing is, we talking about LeBron James, the baddest man on the planet. You know, name is known all over the world.
Right.
You can take this stance, you can change some things, brother. But the question is, what made you change your mind? I mean,
Right.
I'm like, look, I mean, did something transpire overnight? You
Right.
know, at the end of the day, when you know, you look at it, you had folks like Brian Urlacher today come out, and it looks like he's just totally racist in
Right.
his view that played for the Chicago Bears. And the Bears are one of my favorite teams, have always been that way for a long time, all the way back to Gale Sayers. But you have probably a guy that should make the NFL Hall of Fame and come out today with some views that a lot of people just felt were just totally racist. What's your opinion on that, Chuck?
You know what? I had just read that what he said in support of the 17-year-old. And, you know, I was just kind of shocked by it because I'm always surprised by the white dude that has played with the black players for so long, and like, you know, you're still out of touch, you know, because you when you have teammates, you know, like I've shared things with white teammates that I probably have not shared, you know, with family members. You know what I'm saying? Because we're on the road together, we're practicing together, and I'm actually spending more time with them than I do with family members. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when he came out and said what he said, I had to read, I had to go read the article because I was like, wait a minute, I can't just read the headline. It's got to be deeper than this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was a bit surprised. I was surprised at Drew Brees as well. His particular comments, I was surprised by those as well, because when you spend a lot of time with people of color, and you kind of understand, you would think they would understand your plight. You know what I'm saying, and what you're talking about. But yeah, it was a little shocking about the Urlacher thing. And the first thing I was thinking about, like, yo, you know what? If you feel like that, you know, you're a big tough football player. Go say it to some of these cats' face. Go say it to their face. If you that bad, you know what I'm saying? If you're willing to do this on your social media page and all that, go say it to the dude's face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm old school. You know what I'm saying? And we handle it like we'll handle it after that. You know, we'll see what happens after that. You know what I mean?
I think, you know, I like U.S. currency, Professor Jeremiah. I like money.
Right.
So today I'm gonna just focus on nickels. Donovan know where I'm going. Nickels.
Right.
You know, some of these nickels that play pro sports, they just what they are, nickels. They just what Bob McNair called them, inmates, and they don't seem to get it. They don't seem to get it. If you can affect the bottom line,
Right.
you gonna get the change you want.
Yeah.
They already struggling because they got to put up paper people in stadiums and wrestling arenas to make it look like they got an audience in the building. So Jeremiah, you deal with the money side of this. You help these
Yes,
people
sir.
out. What's
Well,
the difference between somebody that makes the minimum playing pro sports and somebody that's making LeBron James money? You know, even though they may be an African American, is the money gonna stop them from
well,
playing?
well.
Is it?
One of the big differences is, and somebody alluded to it in the comments, that player making the minimum can't afford to miss a cycle, especially if they're newer into into those income levels. So, like you said, you got the family members, the other folks, the other expenses, and then just, I'm in the NBA or I'm in the professional league. I got to live a certain way, and that gets expensive. And I think a lot of them aren't prepared for that. LeBron has, money's never been an issue. I mean, LeBron's had hundreds of millions from the start,
Right.
from just with the Nike contract. So it's for him, it's more about he's got more to lose than he does to gain. And so by obtaining all this money and having all these deals, he's got to worry about appeasing all these certain people, from Nike to, the NBA connections he has. And, you hear rumblings about China and this and that. And so he's got a lot of people that he's a lot of plates in the air, so to speak. So he's got the money. That part's not going to be an issue, but just keeping that powerful setting and trying to remain Because again, I hate to go back to it, but I was fired up last night when I saw that the Clippers and Lakers, namely LeBron and Kawhi, who's from less than a mile from where I'm sitting, decided to make this move. I mean, they're basically, one of them is going to represent the West in the championship, and they said we're going to let it all go. For this, I was like, okay, now what am I looked inward, like, what am I doing then? If they're up this peak ready to let it go, and what am I doing? And should I be doing more? And man, the air just got let out of me on that. But the money side for LeBron, like I said, he's untouchable on the money side, but these new cats with new money, they can't afford to miss a cycle.
Right.
I would tell Bron, you're not Nick Cannon, bro. You got Nick Cannon money 40 times over, man. You got Nick Cannon money 40 times over, man. You can stand up, brother. You can.
Hold on, lost my sound.
If I would tell Bron, you got Nick Cannon money 40 times over. If Bron stand up, Kawhi stand up, that's gonna trigger the NFL. Because you see over there ain't too much of nothing black standing up for nothing. But yet you want these black people to come into these stadiums and support you. You want to bring your camps where you overcharging some of these kids to come to your camps. You still want that done. But the one time that you could stand up, you punked out. You just flat out punked out. And that's the way I feel about it. Am I upset with them? No, because I expect this from our people. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the Jim Browns from back in the day. You had some real soldiers back in the day that would stand up for something. But nowadays, it's all about the bag, man. It's all about the bag. And as far as Bron, you can lose 3 endorsements and still clock $400 million this year. But you had it, bro. You ain't gonna get that chance again. They ain't gonna let that happen anymore.
And one other thing about the money, Jerry, and you're spot on with what you said here, is the owners in the NBA, this bubble is working for them. They don't have to put out the expenses of, running an arena and the employees, which are, lots of jobs for a lot of folks downtown. They can still be profitable just off the TV deal alone. So they could do this year after year and not have to worry about people getting hurt, not worried about people trying to sue them later on. They're comfortable with this arrangement.
If you go back and pull the campaign finance reports for some of these congressmen, senators, and even Trump, and then you go and cross-reference that with the owners of sports teams, 98% of them donate their money to the people that they say are oppressing us. You see what I'm saying? So if you took the stance, you stand on the 10 toes and you rock with it. And the guy that's making the minimum, I would tell him, man, just ride with your people because they can't fire all of y'all. They can't right now. The unions would have a field day if you tried to get rid of somebody because they didn't take the float.
And you make a good point about the local connections, right? So much of politics is about the national side, but these local connections. I worked in local politics. When it comes to, like we talked about, the arena deal, the financing, the land, all these things, they have those lunches like you talked about with those powerful people in those areas of the city or even certain counties and neighborhoods. The lunches they've happened. They got the numbers already. So all it is just another meeting at this point, and the connections are truly there because you've seen it play out over and over. Again, like I said, with stadium financing, from moving a team or different locations, the owners and the local politicians are connected, and those local politicians are terrified of being the one who let that job creator or revenue generator leave the city or upset them. So they do not want to be the reason. So he's got to just, they got to go flex the muscle for this cause. And again, they let go too early.
Well, Chuck, I got a question for you. How bad, and if it even existed, How bad was the racism in the league when you were in the league?
As far as within the league, you know, I will say this right here. I would say I don't know as far as like as far as like the coaching opportunities. I think there was more so an existence of nepotism. I'm not gonna say that the hiring of coaches, because you see a lot of like you see a lot of white dudes, and then they like you don't know who they are. Then they might have one former player there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the connections that some of these dudes, it might be somebody like it might be the owner's grandson or something that might get a coaching job or something like that. So I think it's more like nepotism as far as inside the league. I don't really think that. I mean, I don't think I've ever dealt with like a white player using the N-word to me, or I mean, if they feel some type of way, like they pretty much keep it to themselves because they outnumbered. You know what I'm saying? So they're the minority. You know what I'm saying? So on most teams you look at, I think that's the case where if a white dude, you got a white dude, if he feels some type of way, he ain't gonna he ain't got no room to say it. Now, outside of the NBA, yeah, I've dealt with racism. I've been pulled over by police on 5 occasions. You know what I'm saying? And I remember all 5 of them. And I, even like here in North Carolina where I live, 3 of them were, I had just moved into this neighborhood where, I had given my mom power of attorney to find my home for me because my car had got broken into when I was finishing my degree. And then I had to up and leave and go to camp. So I didn't even see the place. So I came home to see the place during All-Star break. I get pulled over and asked, what am I doing in this neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've dealt with it definitely outside of basketball, but inside of basketball, like, on the court, like I've never had, I played against Larry Bird, McHale, Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin was a New York cat, so, he's around, black dudes all the time, you know what I'm saying? So, Larry Bird grew up in French Lick, Indiana, but I've never heard him say anything, like the N-word or nothing like, and he talked a lot of trash, you know what I'm saying? So I've never heard him say anything, never said anything to me like that. I've never gotten to the point where I don't know what he said to Dr. J to get him to choke him out, but he said something, but I've never I've played against plenty of white dudes, and it's never been a case where he said anything to set me off to where I wanted to fight him on the court. Now, off the court, oh yeah, the racism is there. You know what I'm saying? It's there. I've dealt with it. It is what it. You deal with it. You don't let it stop you from progressing, though. You know what I'm saying? You still it's there. So you know what you're dealing with. So you just you find ways to work around it or work through it. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, like to answer your question, not on the court or nothing like that. I think more like more so nepotism exists because you'll have a guy that the owner or the GM might have a nephew or a grandson that gets a job because he may get a job because he's that, and he may not even be qualified for that position. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say that the racism I hadn't had to deal with it inside of basketball. I don't think I've ever had to deal with it now.
And Chucky, I want to address something you said because I've seen this, and it feels subtle, but on those more administrative areas of the sport, right? When the camera flips the other way. I've worked personally in college sports media and media relations, so you're familiar with dealing with that person, the person pulling you over to the interview and saying they want to talk to you on radio and things like that.
Right.
And I've seen it, and you could look at any broadcast of any game and they'll have a white guy who's just accepted for being there. And then you get another guy who they got to explain. Oh, well, he played this year for this team and has this experience as a player. But the other guy is just, okay, well, he must be the one to keep them on schedule and get them the commercial and make sure things stay organized. And he just generally gets accepted for being there.
Right. Well, you might have. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Mhm.
you might have to check that cat's background. He might know somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
Oh,
saying. You know what I mean?
that's what I mean, and that's what I mean.
Okay.
They just
All right.
I've seen it over and over, even
Right.
in today, and even in college sports and some professional ranks I've been in. You see it where it's just a guy who knew somebody,
Right.
and
Right.
they just kind of get walked in the door. And
Right.
and it's on those media relations side, it's on the broadcasting side, it's on the
Right.
photography, it's in those front office positions and internships, and and as a player, sometimes you may be thinking, oh, it's not cool. I don't even want to mess with that side. I'm going to work on my game and hang with the fellas. And that's just them over there. That's the nerdy side. Forget that.
Right. Well, I've done the broadcasting thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the time, I'm with a guy that has never played the game, and I get that. My job at doing the analyst part is to tell the why. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a screen and roll and they score off the screen and roll, my job is to tell why it happened because I got the experience in doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, I get that, but like I said, a lot of them cats, they know people. You know what I'm saying? And I can't say I can be mad at that because, hey, if I know a cat and I can get a job and I'm not qualified for it, and another guy's more qualified, and my man is gonna hire me, yo, I'm gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it works both ways.
And I'll tell you where it's happening right now in the new language that they're trying to make important when it comes to sports.
Right.
And that word is analytics.
Yes.
They're making this
yes.
where you got to know it.
Yes.
Because that's the reason I hired Logan and Ryder and these other guys, because they know this and you don't. So you just don't get a shot here.
That's right.
And that's the new hustle. And I don't know how many analytical teams have won a championship recently, but it's I know that may be hurtful for Houston folks to hear that, but
right.
It's just a new hustle.
And I totally agree with that because that's that, like I think, Isaiah Thomas or somebody, Larry Brown may have brought that up. That's just a new way of, hiring people of non-color, I'll say. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right. That is the new hustle.
Well, let me ask you, Chuck.
Okay.
What is your opinions on reparations? Now we know that the Democratic nominees that are running for president and vice president, they don't support reparations. And people expect for the Republicans to step up to the plate. Well, they're not gonna support reparations. So what's your opinion on reparations for the descendants of African Americans?
Well, I definitely think reparations are due, but I think that before you go there and before you give reparations or you do the reparations, there needs to be some lessons on how to, because everybody don't know how to make their money grow. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't know how to manage money. So there need to be lessons on how to manage your money. You know what I'm saying? Before they get the money, because if you get the money and don't know what you're doing with, you're gonna give it right back. So I think that reparations are long overdue, to be honest with you. Because you look at how America has been America was built on the backs of slaves, you know what I'm saying? And they can talk all that with the Civil War, talking about the Civil War was about slavery. The Civil War was not about slavery. The Civil War was because, the South was like, look, we about to break away from y'all. You know what I'm saying? We getting this free labor. So y'all, y'all go right ahead. And the North was like, wait a minute. No, y'all not. Y'all ain't going nowhere. So they had the slaves fight with them. So the slaves basically fought for their freedom. So, the Civil War was not about slavery. That was more so about money, in my opinion. So yeah, I think reparations should be due.
Donovan?
Well, you know my stance on the money. If you ain't got no money, I don't care how much of Obamacare you got. If you can't pay that copay, it don't matter. If you ain't got money, makes the world go round. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. You can't do nothing without the money. But Chuck, let me ask you this. Okay, you shut my Lakers down. Cost us a couple of rings. You got yours. You go back and get your degree. If you had to tell somebody like myself,
Hold
my
on, I
Al
missed that.
Bundy.
I missed that first part. Say that again.
Okay, you shortchanged my Lakers. You got a couple of rings. You decide to go back to school. As your career wound down. If you had to give somebody like me, an Al Bundy type guy whose glory was in high school, what kind of, especially for the young people, if you had to give some advice right now, what would you give a young person advice in regards to their athletic ability and going to the next level?
As far as playing wise,
education, playing, wherever, whatever you think they need to do.
Okay, I would definitely say, go to school, get your degree. And if you're going to be invested in basketball, you gotta be married to it. You gotta, that's gotta be your thing. But also, while that's your thing, you have to find time to not just be a basketball player. So you have to, have, like, my major in college was criminal justice. So as I was playing basketball, I was making connections and networking. So I would say, while you have an opportunity, like I said earlier, you got to network, and while you have this platform, you got to network, because those doors are open for you, and those doors will not. Some of those doors that are open for you as a player are not going to be open for you when you don't play. You know what I'm saying? So I would tell young kids to network and use your platform for positive influence, and go to school, do your schoolwork. Don't think that, don't put all your dreams saying that, you're going to make it to the NBA, because, it's a very few that make it to the NBA. The NBA is a tough place to make it to. So don't think that you're special and you're one play away from not being there all the time. So, get your schoolwork, but, have something to fall back on. If basketball didn't work out for me, I had connections to go up to Quantico and do my 3 years at Quantico. I had those connections, you know what I'm saying? But it just so happened that I played so long, I aged out. So if I hadn't aged out, who knows what would have happened. But I set myself up. So, set yourself up just in case. You know what I'm saying? Just in case, because nothing is a foolproof guarantee. So that would be my advice to a younger guy.
Well, we're sitting here tonight. We're having a real good discussion. We were talking about what happened with the NBA walking off the floor yesterday, and then tomorrow they'll be back on the floor. We're having that discussion with world champion Houston Rocket, Chucky Brown. I'm throwing that in y'all face because that's what it was, back to back. We did that. That's when I just, after that, I ain't been a Rocket fan since. Ain't been a Rocket fan since. So Charles Barkley, if you're watching, didn't walk off the stage last night and get no black card. You didn't get one when you were a Rocket either. So it is what it is. But I got my man here, State Representative Ron Reynolds, Democrat. One of the only Democrats that I really rock with. To me, one of the hardest working politicians, regardless of what party affiliation, in politics in the state of Texas, in the country for that matter. And I was watching the thread this morning, and Ron got a little loose. And I'm like, let me call him and see if I can get him on the show. Because, it was a conversation about racism in politics. And Ron basically said, Donovan, that he's not going to be quiet no more. And he didn't give a damn if he lost the race. He wasn't going to be quiet no more. So can you elaborate on that, State Rep, for us?
Absolutely. It's great to be back on the War Zone. It's been a minute. It's good to be on with Chucky Brown and all the other generals on the show. Point blank, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of seeing unarmed black men killed by law enforcement. And I said, hey, I am not going to sit silent and continue to allow the status quo to keep happening. Allow another hashtag. I know you were Jack Yates, and we went hard in the paint for George Floyd, and then we had another shooting and another one and another one. And I said, hey, hold up now. I don't care if I am deemed to be a rebel rouser. They call King that. They call X that. They call John Lewis that. And so I'm ready for some good trouble. I'm ready to speak truth to power. I've been speaking truth to power, but I said I'm going to elevate it. I'm going all in. And that means if I'm offending some folks, most likely some racists, some white folks, then so be it. Because I'm sick of seeing people that look like me being killed for no reason other than their skin is their sin. I'm a father, I have a son, and I cannot continue to remain calm when the state of affairs for black people is at an all-time high. I don't know if we live in the 60s, the 50s before Jim Crow. I don't know what's going on, but I know it needs to stop. And so I'm going to use my platform. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to be there with you, Monroe, to march in the streets, to protest, to do anything to make sure that we vote. But most importantly, I'm going to make sure that I'm on the right side of history. And I don't care, like you said, if I'm unelected, so be it. I'm gonna keep fighting. I don't need a title to fight. But while I do have this title, I'm certainly gonna use my platform to elevate the message that Black Lives Matter. I ain't ashamed to say it. I say it on the House floor. Black Lives Matter, because they do.
Well, yeah, I think, and if I get this wrong, Ron, tell me, you're a member of the Texas Congressional. I mean, I'm the Black Caucus in Texas.
The Black Caucus, right?
Texas Legislative Black Caucus. Now we always talking about the Congressional Black Caucus.
Right.
Now Ron Reynolds, and I'm going on record, Donovan, Chucky, and Jeremiah, is one of the only African American politicians to stand up in this manner in regards to my man in Kenosha being shot, my man in Lafayette, Louisiana being shot. And this is after George Floyd. He is probably the only black politician that I've seen that has come out in this manner. Donovan, what you got to say?
Well, that's what should have been happening for all our politicians. I went to the Congressional Black Caucus and I read their mission statement. And number one, it was supposed to be for us and other disenfranchised groups. But all you ever see them stand up for is the other disenfranchised groups, and they don't stand up for us. And like I said, I constantly troll the pages of the Congressional Black Caucuses and things like that and saying, okay, these are our elected leaders. These are people that look like me. A black man just got shot. Nothing was said until 4 days later, a statement was put out. I mean, I'm a regular person. These people have access to, in some cases, top secret information. So why did it take them so long to stand up for us? But then you have kids in cages, wrongly so put in cages. I don't want people to just, think that I'm just some animal, just don't care about them. They're wrongly put in cages, but they don't wait a second to stand up for injustice for everybody else. And then when we call them out, oh, we're the bad people. We gotta, get into good trouble. Y'all just be patient. How much longer do we have to, take this stuff? Because what everybody keeps forgetting is we are 2 or 3 generations removed from the civil rights era. So these new kids, they ain't talking that peaceful marching stuff. They're on some different stuff. And that's what we got to, remember. These kids are reactionary. But at the same time, we need these kids to vote in a manner that is going to get us results and tangibles. So big ups to you, Ron Reynolds, for doing it. I mean, that's what it was about in the beginning. Where it got watered down, I don't know, but we got to get it back.
Monroe, can I respond to that? I'm just going to be transparent. I'm going to put it out on the line. Some people are afraid to speak out because guess what? You get a big target on your back. It ain't no secret. They come after me. It makes you a bigger target when you go after the man and you criticize the man. That puts you in a bull's eye. And I say, hey, so what? So be it. And also the number 2 thing is you piss off the corporations, the PACs. So you don't get the corporations, the monies that the big corporations will give to some of the people that don't rock the boat. I don't get those contributions because I am on their ass. I'm on their ass, okay? I'm talking about injustice. I'm talking about equality. I'm talking about business and contracts for black folks, not just civil rights, but silver rights. Show me the money. I want to see many more African Americans have opportunities for contracts. I'm sick and tired of seeing when they say minority, guess what? They're talking about white women now. And they talking about other minorities. Who's talking about black folks? And so I get criticized for that. Anytime you're messing with their money, then you're going to become a target. So that's why some people maybe don't feel so comfortable. But I'm not there to make them feel comfortable. I don't answer to them. I answer to my constituents. They went after me every election. They brought law enforcement at me. They brought they funded my opponents, and the people stand by me because I fight for the people. They slander me. The Chronicle come at me. The news come at me. They make me a demon. They do everything they can, and I'm still standing. I don't say that to brag. I say that because the people know that I'm there for them and I'm in the trenches. But that I just wanted to offer some clarity why some people don't use their platform, because they tell me, hey man, you know, I'm with you, but I can't get out there like you. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to piss off them. I don't want to. So it's excuses. So I'm just telling you, that's the reason why some don't want to do it, you know, because you get a big X on your back, and damn it, I'm gonna keep that X on my back until God says it's time for me to be quiet. I'm gonna keep talking. I know y'all got my back.
Oh, no questions. No question. So I got two questions for
Yeah,
you.
I think to add on to what he was saying, I just think that some people aren't built for it. You know what I'm saying? They're not built for it. You know what I mean? So if you're not built for it, then you stay over there on the sideline. And if you're not built for it, but I and if you built for it, then go ahead. Yeah, it's a contact sport. If you built for it,
if you don't want to
go
get
ahead and
hit,
get in
don't
the
get in
mix.
the game. Don't,
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get in the mix if you built for it.
But when you
if you don't want to get hit,
it's a
don't
contact sport. You know, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you a question.
That's right. So if you're not built for it, stay on the sideline.
I'm gonna put you in the hot seat for a second, Ron.
Yeah.
Do you ever get calls from your colleagues, African Americans, politicians, that tell you, Ron, you got to tone it down a bit, man?
Absolutely. I ain't gonna call no names, but absolutely, unequivocally, yes. Yep.
Well, here's my thing to everybody listening. When you're out there calling us coons because we fighting the good fight, causing good trouble, you need to go inside the state houses and locate the real coons, the ones that's calling him, telling him he need to tone it down when he just don't want to see black people get killed in the streets anymore. You know, the one thing I'll say to you, Ron, is you're hardworking. You bust your behind. And anytime you call me, I'm always be there.
I appreciate that.
I'm always be there, but you know me, I come a different way. You never told me to change who I am.
No.
And I fight that fight, and I'm gonna say what I gotta say. So you know, I'd rather pull a politician to the side or in the back room and tell him on the cool, you a motherfucker. But if you don't want to go in that back room, then I'm gonna tell you right there on the Senate floor. I don't care.
Right.
Because I'm sick of it. Now, do you really think that we have an opportunity to get legislation changed so that we can stop these police shootings when it pertains to African American men?
I do. And here's the reason why I do. If you go back to the 50s, I think it was 1955 when Emmett Till was slaughtered. He was lynched in Money, Mississippi. That was the catalyst, the pivotal point that transcended the civil rights movement that was before Rosa. That's before her prominence. But that lynching of Emmett Till for allegedly whistling at a white woman, that was his crime. He was lynched, and his mom decided to have an open casket funeral so the world could see what they had did to her baby boy. They I mean, you see the photo, okay? And that was the catalyst for the civil rights movement that led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You know, John Lewis, Martin Luther King, many others, you know, that marched, people who Fannie Lou Hamer. It was the catalyst. I think that George Floyd's death by Officer Chauvin and those punk officers in Minneapolis that killed him, that had their foot on his neck, I think that's the catalyst to the awakening for the rebirth of the Black Lives Matter movement. And then you see all of these other things stemming from it. I think that is the catalyst that is going to make meaningful changes that will finally get done in this country. I think many young people, the Black generation, millennials, they're going to vote in November. And I think that is going to change. And then after that November election, I do think that we're going to see some real meat and potato legislation to finally change some of the systemic racism that allows these cops to continue to perpetuate these crimes against Black men and some Black women as well. Breonna Taylor, she was a victim as well. And so, you know, they got that attorney general and they ain't even prosecuted those cops in Kentucky. So I do think that this is finally the wake up call. Unfortunately, George Floyd's life, he's a martyr. Jack Yates Line, Third Ward, CUNY Homes, he will be the change agent, and we'll remember him just like we talked about Emmett Till generations and generations later. They'll be talking about George Floyd from the tray, from Jack Yates, that changed those laws. So I do think so, yes.
So let me ask you this here: when you talk about all that, Emmett Till, 1955, but we're still dealing. You know, if things were supposed to change, we wouldn't have Sandra.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't have Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have my man in Kenosha. Right. We wouldn't have my friend up there. Right. If things had changed.
You're right.
And modern day lynching, even in our time, it's been a few years, we would have never had James Byrd.
That's right.
Who was basically lynched behind a truck.
Absolutely.
In Jackson, Texas.
Yes.
So my thing is right now you got this big election coming up, and you got my friend Demetri, who's not here today, who has basically coined the phrase "hold your vote." What would you tell people right now that are planning on holding their vote because they don't feel like they've gotten anything in the last 4 years from the people that are actually running?
Right. Monroe, I understand their frustration. I feel their pain because a lot of people have been let down by the system and folks that look like them. I mean, there's some people who look like us that ain't advocating for us. So I understand why some people feel that way. So that's understandable. But the stakes are too high. We cannot afford to sit this one out. There's too much at stake when it comes to George Floyd and passing some meaningful criminal justice and policing reforms. When it comes to climate change, when it comes to equal pay, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to so many disparities, minimum wage increase, there's too much at stake for us to sit this one out. The Supreme Court is at stake. So if we sit this one out, we might as well go ahead and just lay it down. I mean, just lay it down. We just raising our hands and surrendering. We can't let that happen. This election is the election of our lifetime. We're about to do redistricting when we go back in session. That's going to determine these legislative seats, congressional seats for the next 10 years, for the next decade. And so if we sit this one out, we're empowering people to make decisions for us without us acting on our own behalf to decide who's going to make those decisions. So in essence, we're surrendering our power. And just like we talked about Emmett Till, too many people died for those rights that we have today, the privilege to vote. I'm not telling who you to vote for. That's for you to decide. But too many people, God damn it, they died for us to have that right, for us to sit on our ass on election day. So I'm asking everybody to make sure that you go vote because your vote is your voice. So don't sit this one out. Please, sitting this one out, it got us Trump. Some people say, well, hell, what difference do it make? I can show you so many differences that it's made, but we don't even have time. That's for another discussion. But it makes a tremendous difference because we know that we need to pass these laws. And the only way we're going to be able to pass these laws if we elect some people that give a damn, and then we hold their feet to the fire. And then we hold them to the fire. And if they don't do it, then go what? God damn it, we vote them out. But we got to vote. We can't sit this one out. The stakes are too high.
Well, I'm going to ask this, and Donovan, you can chime in. Okay, but we got a law and order ticket. That's what me and Donovan and Demetri call it. How do we give an opportunity to two people that have been a part of incarcerating black men at an alarming rate, and then ask for people to go and hold them accountable? Now, I don't have a problem with you, because I know you're going to step up to the plate and you're going to be in there fighting with everything you got. But it's the raccoons and the nickels that I'm scared of that ain't going to go in there and do nothing and then let Biden just slide through and do what he want to do, which is forget about the black race.
Well, that's a good question, and that's a legitimate question, and that's a question that should be addressed and answered. Well, when Charlemagne the God posed that question to Biden, and when Ice Cube and others, it's a legitimate concern, and I'm not going to skate around it. There is questions about Biden's record and his history. Same thing with Harris when she was the Attorney General of California. I know that they've explained, they've reformed. Nobody's perfect. They certainly have had some things that they probably should have done differently. But when you put their record and you compare it to Trump and Pence, then it's night and day. So I hate to say this, but sometimes you got to choose. It's gonna be one or the other. It ain't gonna be the third party. I mean, we're not there yet. So it's either gonna be Trump Pence or it's gonna be Biden Harris. And for me, and for the things that I think that we want to fight for, then we got to go ahead and vote for Biden and Harris. But we got to hold them accountable, and we got to make them earn our vote. We can't let them take our vote for granted. And that's what I'm making sure that we do. I'm making sure, goddamn it, where's your blacks in terms of where you putting your money at? What kind of policies? So they rolling out things. I'm gonna hold their feet to the fire. But unfortunately, Trump and Pence, we know what we're getting. We know what they're gonna do and how they're going to not pass these criminal justice reforms that we so desperately need. So they need to be accountable. They need to answer and stand up. I know that Biden has had to account for those things. I know that Harris has had to do it. And so I think we need to continue to remind them that we're not going to allow them to ever repeat those things in the future. But if we just hold that as a litmus test and say we're not going to vote for them because of that, then to me we're going to end up with something that we can't work with, and that's the problem right there. We had that wasn't my first choice, but that's who we have, and to me it's going to be either A or it's going to be B. And so that's the choices that we're faced with. Now, in the future, we could do a better job and try to get somebody else. But right now, that's what we're faced with for November the 3rd. And so I would hold them to their feet to the fire. And I just ask everybody to look at their whole record as a whole and not just some of the things that they've done. I know that they've made some mistakes, but they have made some significant contributions that should be taken into consideration. But yeah, we got to hold them accountable. We can't skate past it. We can't act like it didn't exist. Those are things that they have to account for. And I'm not pleased with many things that they've done. But when I compare apples to apples, to me, it is no comparison. I won't see the other side saying Black Lives Matter. They're not gonna do it.
Donovan?
Well, and I'm not gonna, like you said, we can have this big conversation for another day, but this is a thing I have to just say, just to get it out there, because I got to represent what I've been fighting for a lot of years. We're already seeing that holding somebody accountable once they get in office is not holding them accountable, because once they're in there, look at what Trump is doing. You got to look at their record before they get there and then say, wow, this guy did this. This woman locked up this person did this, and guys on death row and all this stuff. And you say, wow, is this somebody I want to vote for? Absolutely not. And we find other options. Now, you say don't sit out. I have a question. Why is it that every election cycle it's pivotal for Black people to vote? And, we come and save the day. Then you look at the ticket, and then we have nothing for us. On the Biden ticket, he said day one, he's going to do DACA, LGBTQ, and Dreamers. 2 of the 3 people I just named can't even vote for him. They need the Black vote. and nobody is doing for us. The reparations is not on the packet or anything of that nature. Now, Demetrius watching here, and I got to say this. We have to stop perpetuating the lie that our ancestors died for us to vote. That is not true. They died so that we can get something for our vote. That is why, they don't want you just to, just vote and just vote and just vote and get nothing for it. They want you to vote so we can take the baton as a people and move it forward. Tangibles. We got to get tangibles. And that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to pass this off onto Professor Smitty, because he, coming from that lineage, definitely knows some of what we're talking about.
Well, Donovan, you bring up an interesting point, right? We're considered to be blamed for sitting out the last election, but the part, and Rep. Reynolds, I'll kind of let you address this. The Democratic Party has said they need to address white women suburban voters. That's who they feel like they got to target. And it's like, well, you just jumped right past us. And, again, you want us to save the day. So I totally agree with us. Just we can't just be bought or considered a done deal. I want to address a couple of things about the target on your back, because being black, as soon as you walk in the room, as soon as you step in a setting, it's on you. The spotlight's there. So you might as my thought has always been, you might as well do something with it of your choosing rather than it's put to you, right? And the other thing is, beyond the voting, we need to have people following up on you, Rep. Reynolds. We need people to be the next one in line, the next person to come, the next person that you're grooming. We need more people beyond just the voting. We need people to be representative, right, in those positions. And I will almost circle back to our initial conversation, to be those representatives that the big businesses or MBA owners are coming to in these cities to make these change or to seek these things. We need to be in those decision rooms where things happen. So yes, voting is one part of it, but we also got to participate in the process.
Chucky?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. What's my man's name with the war zone behind him? He made a good point. What's your name again? Donovan, my bad. My bad. But Donovan made a good point. We have to get something for our vote. You know what I'm saying? We have to get something for our vote. But I also agree with my man right here. What's the man named, Congressman?
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Okay, Reynolds. Yeah, Mr. Reynolds. I also agree with him. We can't sit this one out. We know what we're getting. We know what we're getting. We if you think that these last 4 years was something, give them 4 more. You know what I'm saying? Give them 4 more and see what happens.
Say that again for
you
the
know what I'm saying? I said, if you think these last 4 years or something, give this cat 4 more. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like when I hear people saying hold your vote. And my personal feeling is that as black people, I mean, and this, this is kind of sad, is that we seem to always be voting for the lesser of two evils, no matter what. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to that presidency. But we say that, but I honestly don't think that Hillary Clinton would have been this bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. But I think we always seem to vote for the lesser of two evils. I hate to call it the lesser of two evils, but it is what it is. But I'm going to vote Biden and Harris. They weren't my first choices either, but I'm going to vote for them. And I do agree with, there is before they get in the White House, you got to hold their feet to the fire. But since we already know what we got, we might have to wait till these cats get in and then hold their feet to the fire. But we have to be, we have to fight that good fight, and we have to continue to fight, and we can't be tired of fighting. And that's my opinion on that. We gotta, we gotta get this guy out of there. We gotta go vote. But Harris and Biden get in there. We gotta stay on them. We gotta stay. We can't let them slide. With certain little things. Like my man said, I think Donovan said, they look past us, right past us. You need our vote, but yet you talking about the LB, what is it? LBGTQ? What is that? What it is? Is that what it is? I don't want to say that wrong, and they have them attacking me. So yeah, we don't want
LGBTQ plus, right?
Okay, you look right past us, in the DACA, you look right past us, but you need us to come out there and vote. So, that being the case, we do need to get out there, and when we get out there, we just need to, hold those people to the fire, man. Hold their feet to the fire, man.
I tell you what, I'm a down ballot. Something inside my gut, my fiber. I don't trust Biden. I don't like Harris. Didn't like him from the gate. I know that I was with a group of people that put together a true black agenda. It was sent to Joe Biden. He never even looked at it. And that tells me enough of what I need to know. So I'll focus on my state and locals. And in the state, I'll tell people, man, I'm going to rock with Ron Reynolds. I'm going to get down for State Senator Boris Miles, real gangster, don't care, got his own money, and ain't going to lay down for nobody. That's what I like about him. He going to stand up for his people. And them two guys give more than turkeys. They give blood, sweat, and tears. I see it. I've called Ron many days. He's on the road headed to Austin. Man, I'm going to call you back. And some of these folks, they have selective amnesia when they become politicians. But people like Ron Reynolds and Boris Miles, they will always answer the phone. They'll tell you what they can and cannot do. And then they're going to do exactly what they told you they were going to do. So when they need me in Austin to stand up and speak on a bill, I'm there. That's the type of politicians that we need if we're looking for black representation. We need some that don't care about the target, that don't care if you like me or not. I'll do my 4 years or my 2 years and you can vote me out. But while I'm in here, I'm going to stand up for my people because everybody else stands up for their people. So, Biden, first day in office, doesn't include African Americans, just not something that I can actually rock with. I want to know your stance, Ron, and we're almost about ready to close out, but I got to get it. I got it from Chucky. What's your stance on reparations?
Oh, boss, come on. I am 100% in favor of reparations for the descendants of slaves. Our ancestors built on their backs the fruits and labor of this country. You look at just right where I'm at, Sugarland 95. I filed a bill last session for reparations for those descendants in Fort Bend. I took a lot of criticism for it. I filed a bill to support Sheila Jackson Lee's congressional reparations bill. I filed that last session, supporting HR 40. So I've been on record publicly, not privately, in a group comfortable with black folks. I told my colleagues we need reparations in this country to, you want to talk about getting past the sin of slavery? Give us reparations. We've earned it. We never got the 40 acres and a mule. We are owed reparations. The Capitol, when you talk about where I serve at, I have the pleasure of serving, that was built on the backs of free slaves. The U.S. Capitol, all these cotton fields, these corporations that made their money, Sugarland got their name from that. Reparations is owed and due, and I'm 100% in favor of it. And I want to see other elected officials stand up and demand it. It's time for it.
Last question for all you guys. The good Reverend Al Sharpton tomorrow will have a march in Washington, which I don't think is a good idea with the COVID going on. I don't think it's a good idea with the COVID going on. What are your opinions on this march? And exactly what is the good Reverend trying to accomplish? And we'll start with Donovan.
Symbolism, and he's just trying to put some more money in his pocket.
Professor Jeremiah?
Yeah, stay on the radar, stay relevant, have a say, hopefully. I just want to quickly say something about reparations. When we've had this discussion, we've talked about what people will and won't do with the money and how they may smoke it off or whatever. We are entitled to that right, though. Some people might get it all in quarters. Some people may buy 10 Escalades with it. That's fine, but we deserve the chance to make that mistake with those funds if we choose to. And I say that as a person that worked in the investment world for 10 years, but we still deserve that right to not even have it be qualified. It just needs to be given, and we can decide on our own.
Chucky?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that. I agree with his comment about the reparations. It's up to you what you do with the money, but also, like I said before, I think that before we get it, I think we need to also learn how to be able to make our money grow, because there are a lot of things that we as Black people don't know about, making our money grow and make your money work for you. So now I'll comment on the Al Sharpton thing. I'm against the large crowds right now. So I wouldn't, because of the COVID, I'm against the march. But if this is going to be something that's going to bring about something positive, I'm okay with it. But if it's just, a photo op, I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping that it's something that's going to bring about something positive.
Ron, your opinion?
I'm going to be the minority on this one. I think that the march is a great idea. It's the commemoration of the March on Washington that Dr. King and other John Lewis led. I think that it can be done just like other things, the protest with George Floyd, with not so much social distancing, but with masks and trying to do some social distancing. But I think it is to raise awareness for the disparities that we've been talking about with criminal justice, with economics and everything. So I know Al Sharpton may have his own reasons for doing it, but I think the bigger picture is to commemorate the civil rights movement, March on Washington, and I think it highlights many of the disparities that exist right now. And it's in Washington, so Congress will be paying attention, and hopefully it will help move the needle to get more changes done.
All right, I'll say this here, that I don't think that we should be down there doing that. The COVID is real. There's a lot of people that have died. I mean, maybe we should have waited. I have my opinions on Al, which I will save. I think people have already heard my opinions on Reverend Al. And, for me, I'm not going to Washington. I'm going to Lafayette, Louisiana tomorrow. I'm going down there to help my people who've just gone through something major, but at the same time, help a community that reached out to me because they want to protest. They want to voice their opinion, but they want to do it the right way. So, I told them I would come, just give me a meal. I'm a big boy, just feed me, and I'm going to be there. So, they going to show me some love, and I'm going to do that. I want to thank you guys for taking the time out. Chucky, you're welcome back anytime you get ready. And Ron, you family, you come through whenever. So for those that want to know, I'm in Sugar Land, Texas, who the 5-star is rocking with, I'm rocking with Ron Reynolds, man. I mean, that's what it is. I'm going to get out for him when it's time to run. I'm going to get out of the boys' miles when it's time to run. Because these two dudes, they leave it on the floor every day. Every single day, they leave it on the floor for not just Black people, but for everybody. But when it comes to a Black issue, them two brothers going to strap it up. And they're going to go to war, and they're going to fight that battle no matter what people may think about them. So I appreciate everything that y'all do. Chucky, you keep doing a good job. And y'all make sure, if you don't know about Chucky's podcast, make sure that you tune in, because my man be on fire some night, and y'all need to be a part of what he's doing. And, of course, we got to thank our sponsors, David Newell, Niall Copeland. Man, we got so many, Donovan, Boss, EST, and who are some of our other sponsors, Donovan?
Hey, we got Big Mama's Collection, Black and Dope Apparel, Evolve Gear 2020, and cornucopia.com.
Okay, I tell you what, man, it was a spirited discussion as usual, and I want to thank my good friend, my co-host Donovan Sadiq, Professor Jeremiah, our guest, Chucky Brown, world champion Houston Rockets. If you didn't know, now you know. my man, State Representative Ron Reynolds, and I am the 5-star general. Until tomorrow, I holla.
All right. Great show. Great show. Great
Great
show.
man. Appreciate being on it, man. That was awesome.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
Back anytime you get ready, Ron.
All right, boss. Y'all keep up the good work,
All
man. All right.
Okie doke.
Take care, Ron.